Hi guys.
Hey guys.
Hey, we're just gonna wait till some people join the show or the live. If you don't watch or listen to our radio show regularly, then you don't know that I usually within the hour break out in song.
At some point.
And I just started this live video in a song.
Go for it.
So there's that. Hello, Sharon. Oops. Oh, sorry guys. How did I do that? I don't know.
There we go. I didn't even know you could do that.
I didn't either. All right. So, hi guys. Thank you for tuning in and joining. This one, I wish we had posted it sooner about the topic we were talking about. But we had forgotten to post what we're talking about and schedule it ahead of time. So I'm really excited that we'll post this on our page, and you guys can watch it. You can share it for other people. We're trying to make a little bit of a shorter Facebook Live than the ones that we've made so that it's easier to watch and to kind of skip around. So thank you guys for tuning in. And if you see or hear our toddler, he's not asleep yet, so ignore that. So today we're going to talk about fasting. And you actually suggested this topic.
Yes.
Which I'm glad you did.
I think it's, as you can tell from the title, I think this is one that a lot of people have misinformation about. I think this is a topic that, especially in our society today, is kind of taboo, right? You know, it's there's no doubt this is like we're literally the first generation in the history of the world to have 24/7 access to food, right? And so, when we talk about fasting, and as we dive into this, one of the things that you guys have to understand is this really isn't a new thing. Actually, this is an ancient healing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, bottom line is, we titled it, I believe, what was it? Is it dangerous or is it life-saving? And, really, bottom line is every single, whether it was religious culture or whether it was, ancient civilization, in some way or some form practiced fasting, right? Whether it was forced or whether it was by choice, right? Because of religious purposes, pretty much every civilization in the history of mankind has practiced fasting until we get here. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that being said, that's why it's such a big topic. I think one of the first things to recognize is, this topic of fasting. Some of the most brilliant minds right now in science and health are showing just how phenomenal and how amazing this topic of fasting can be for health.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one really great thing to understand about fasting is that science, you guys can look up PubMed, peer-reviewed research, autophagy in cancer, autophagy in diabetes, and autophagy in type 1 diabetes, and dementia, and Alzheimer's. Fasting helps so many different symptoms and diagnoses that you see that's running rampant in the United States. And the reason why is, I think the number one reason I love fasting, the number one reason that I can safely put my health coaching clients, my thyroid coaching clients that really need help, that want to see a change, that want to come off medications, that want to feel better and lose weight. The reason why I put them on a fasting plan, depending on where they're at in their health journey, is that fasting does something, and fasting works with the innate healing power that you have in your body already. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. We are doctors of chiropractic. And the principle of chiropractic, everything that we base everything we do on, even as we get into functional things like blood work and dealing with thyroid and diabetes and all these things, everything we do comes back to the principle that healing comes from above down, inside out. That right now, while you're watching this, your lungs are breathing, your blood is pumping, you're fighting cancer, you're listening to this, and you don't even have to think about it. That is innate inside of your body. I call it the power of God, the healing potential inside of your body. And so what fasting does, it eliminates everything. It eliminates all supplements, any type of food, anything that you can say, yeah, I ate this supplement or ate this food and it healed me. No. It eliminates everything and allows your body to do what it does best, and it's heals. And that's why people that have fasted can get a jump start on a lot of different things when it comes to their health. Because when you remove everything, when you remove everything that's been taxing your body for so long, it starts to heal. And if you heard the words before, it's autophagy.
Yeah, and so that's our first, the number one thing that fasting does inside the body is it creates this word called autophagy. And you may be sitting there saying, holy cow, what does that word mean, right? What does the word autophagy mean? Well, first and foremost, just to kind of let you know, there was in 2016, actually the Nobel Prize winner in health actually won it based on the word autophagy. And so what they showed is that, the body, when it has nothing else in it, that means when all you're doing is fasting on something like water, it goes through this process called autophagy, which means it clears out all of the bad debris in the body, right? And so basically what that means is the body's intelligence, like Dr. Rebecca said, will pick and choose to break down all of the bad and damaged cells, right? The damaged cells with like bad DNA and bad genetics that have been, harmed by toxicity and things like that, to break down, even bad muscle tissue, right? If you had an injury, a shoulder injury, knee issue, things like that, the body will break down all the bad debris, and that is what it burns its fuel off of. Therefore, what's so amazing about this, like Dr. Becca says, is it harnesses the intelligence of the body, right? This is innate intelligence at its best. That's what's so amazing about it. And again, right now we're talking about more of water fasting, right? We're talking about just water fasting. And then we'll get into other forms of fasting as we go on. But yeah, there's no doubt that number one benefit of doing something like water fasting is the word autophagy and clearing out all the debris. I think it's important to know, most of the time, in our society, again, we are bombarded by food 24/7, right? We have access to it in our refrigerator. We have access to it everywhere we go. We have restaurants around every single corner. And so our body is constantly in this building state. And so, the scientific term for that would be mTOR, right? And you don't have to remember that if you don't want to.
I think you should. It's a cool word.
It is kind of
mTOR.
cool. It kind of sounds like, I always picture like some like Greek mythology
I
or
was
something.
thinking like a superhero.
There you go. So, but basically mTOR means you're in a state of building, right? Like building muscle and things like that. And we definitely know, research is pretty clear. If you're constantly in that state, that mTOR state, you will shorten, right, your lifespan. There's no doubt about it. Now, it doesn't mean it can't increase performance during that time, but it will shorten the lifespan if you're constantly in that mTOR. And so for a long time, people used to think, I've even heard some of the greatest doctors kind of debate on this, that, you have to choose one or the other. You have to either be in mTOR or you have to be in autophagy. And again, you have to choose, like, am I going to choose performance or am I going to choose longevity, right? And so, bottom line is you can actually have both, all right? And so mTOR is the constant state of building, like muscle tissue and things like that. But right now, what we want to harness is this state of autophagy, and we get that through things like fasting, like water fasting. And so the biggest thing is it clears debris.
Sorry guys, here's Elijah.
There you go. So he's our guest star. He'll come on periodically every so often. Do you want to say anything to him? Hi. Do you have anything to say about fasting? Fasting.
Do it.
Yeah, right.
But you said something really interesting. So no matter where you're at in your health process, whether you're already eating paleo or you're eating keto or you have a lot of diagnosis and on a lot of medications, fasting is going to take wherever you're at and then take you to the next level. And you got to do it safely. Like people that are nursing.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it while you're nursing because you want to make sure that you're not bringing down your milk supply. But no matter where you're at. We've worked with people starting again from the beginning. Hold on one second. Starting from the beginning, or just wanting to get better. So let me give you an example of that. So Debbie, you can actually go into her Facebook Live videos in the past. She shared a testimonial. If you're in our office and she's there, she's going to tell you this story. But she's a perfect example, and I'll share another example with you guys. And both women have given me permission to share where they're at in their journey. So Debbie was further along in the health journey. She had been, for 3 years, try to be gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. She was getting adjusted. Actually, she had made all these nutritional changes. She came in for chiropractic care, started getting adjusted, saw some really, really great things. But there are certain things that she was like, man, I'm just stuck. She had reached an amazing level, and she reached a point where she wasn't getting better. So she met with me. I looked at her blood work. I looked at her health history, and we put her on a fasting plan. And it was like a light switch, just turned on again. Chiropractic, woo, she saw these changes, the pain, everything was gone. She was feeling great. But now it was to take it to another level. And so fasting is not like a pill that you take that it's like, oh yeah, this is work. No, fasting is just working with that innate healing inside of your body. So she ended up losing a ton of weight. I don't even know how much. Do you know how much she's lost?
Last time we checked, I think it was like 35, 38
And this was
pounds,
getting on a fasting. She lost 35 pounds. And then, the picture, guys. I mean, you guys can see us?
Somebody give us a thumbs up if you can see us.
If you can see us.
Anyways, make sure you can see us.
So let us know if you can see us or not. So Joe, you said no picture, guys. I'm not sure what that is, but hopefully you guys can see us. But yeah, so anyway, she lost all this weight. And a really big thing I tell someone, I can see you. Thank you, Nicole.
Awesome.
Okay, back on track. Yeah. So with Debbie, what was huge was not that the whole purpose of her fasting wasn't to lose weight. If you're doing it just to lose weight, guess what's going to happen? Because it used to happen with me. Thank you so much,
awesome.
So, sometimes you've done it before where you really restrict your calories, you do this juice fast, great, you lose all this weight, and then you gain it all back. No. The difference, we're not even depending on juice, okay, water, or depending on where you're at. I've had, some of my clients do bone broth.
Which we'll get into.
Which we'll get into here. But what you're doing is you're resetting your body, you're balancing your hormones, and you are allowing your body to go into autophagy, which is literally taking out damaged areas of cells, repairing cells, and then when you come off of that fast, eating high fat, quality nutrients the right way is going to give you the right building blocks, mTOR like we talked about, and your growth hormone is at its peak. So what it means is you're fasting, you're going to break down all this junk, and then you're eating really good stuff and you're building back up. Yeah. So Debbie fasted, she lost some weight, and she's like, this is fantastic. And then I put her on an eating plan. We did a modified keto, high fat for her, and then she just continued to lose weight. But again, weight loss is a side effect of a body that's healing and hormones that are balanced. Yes. And she came in and she was like, Doc, she goes, we've been working on my thumbs. I could not bend my thumbs, and now I can bend them. Yeah. I thought it was something with my ligament. I thought it was something that I injured, and it clicked with her. Wow, I had so much inflammation that my body through fasting was able to naturally, cut out to get better. And
I think we had a question, so I wanted to answer that really quick. Why would someone have low white blood count? So the reason for that, why this happens, is because, when you look at, if we were to test, like, literally every American here, what we would find out is probably 90 to 95% of all Americans at some level have levels of, like, autoimmune reaction in the body, which means that your immune system is literally, number one, it's kind of bombarded, and so it's attacking itself. That's what autoimmune means. And so, that being said, one of the reasons why if you do a water fast, fast way you may see a drop in your white blood count is because your body, again, is intelligent. And so it's actually getting rid of some of those immune attacking cells. So that means, again, it's getting rid of some of that autoimmune reaction. So initially you'll see that white blood count come down. And so actually it's a great thing because it's getting rid of old, right, immune cells, old white blood cells, as opposed to new ones that are going to actually help to boost the immune system. So even though you're looking at, you know, your blood count, you're looking at your blood work, and it's like, oh my gosh, my immune system is going down. In reality, your immune system is actually getting, again, stronger. It's getting strengthened, and it's actually doing even better. That's why most of the time what you'll see with people is after a couple days, what they're going to find is they're going to see that their immune system is going to go up. So that being said, that's why you can initially see that white blood cell count actually go down at the beginning. It's because your body is literally getting rid of some of the old immune cells, right, to replace them with good, healthy, new immune cells. And so again, hopefully that answers your question, which is fantastic. And that is also why we see so many people with autoimmune disease, right, or autoimmune issues going on in the body start to get well. You know?
Absolutely. I want you to touch on one thing though. Oh, side note, the reason why we do these Facebook Lives late at night is because we have 2 kids. You can check right here. We have 2 kids under 2. So if he jumps in, just ignore him. He's our mascot. But one thing, okay, so if you guys are just jumping on, we're talking about fasting. Fasting for autophagy. Fasting is not a juice fast. It's not you're taking all these supplements. You're just drinking water, and we'll discuss possibly doing bone broth. And what you're doing is you're eliminating all things to jumpstart your body, to balance your hormones, to get rid of unhealthy cells, to jumpstart your health. So I talked about Debbie. It doesn't matter where you're at on the health journey, whether you're super healthy, you've done keto. In fact, if you're doing keto, fasting is just going to push those ketones so high up. If you're testing and you're low, adding fasting in is going to get you to that next level. You could be there, or you can be just starting off. And so actually, before I share a story about someone that came from our sugar summit that we had here locally in Chattanooga last year, I want you to talk about, because you talked about white blood cells, I want you to talk about labs. If you get labs during a time where you're fasting, you might have bad labs, high cholesterol.
That was a good toss. That was a really good toss, dude. That was perfect. That's it. That's what you get when you got a 2.5-year-old, man. You never know what you're gonna get. That was awesome.
Great. Anyway, so there's a few questions here. Let's see if we can move this up. Oops, here we go. Sorry, guys.
Ravelin said, good to know. It's not bad. My doctor told me my white blood cells are low. Yeah, I mean, again, when you look at it from a blood work standpoint, it can look kind of scary. But at the end of the day, there is no doubt that it's actually, again, going to boost your immune system. Again, it's getting rid of those old immune cells. So, man, keep up the good work. I think that's fantastic.
All right, we have some other questions here. Let's see. Questions. People were laughing at me for getting that blanket thrown on my head. I thought there was a question here. Let's see. How long should a water fast be? Really great question. Really, really good question. So yeah, your blood work can come up different. So there's people that will do, so it depends on what your health goals are, okay? There's people that will do a 3-day fast. I will, if difficult cases, I will go and I will encourage longer than 5 days. And the reason why is because the process in your body to shift from the mode that it's used to functioning every day to a healing mode, into this autophagy mode, into this like really focusing on this energy to break down cells and to replenish cells and to really balance hormones, to do what you want it to do is going to take some time. So this is what I tell people that I work with. So I say usually the first day, you're just going to realize that how much you eat during the day and how much your whole entire day revolves around food, which is crazy. A study found out. Yeah, you're going to think about it. You're going to see it. I remember when I would do my fast before I started nursing, I would look at the most disgusting food and be like, that looks so good. But that's the first day. Second day, not too bad. Third day, I see it over and over again. And it even shows it now in the research that something happens and shifts between the third and the fourth day. third day tends to be the hardest. If people have toxicity issues, they might have a headache during that time. My thyroid patients that weren't responding to medication, they'll all of a sudden get an influx of medication. So I've had multiple people go hyper and had to send them immediately to their medical doctor to cut back their medication.
Why is that? Because their body and their gut actually starts to heal, and it starts to actually, literally break down that medication, absorb it at a high rate, right? So no doubt, that's why if you're going to fast, and it is your first time doing it, it's always, I think very important to fast under the supervision of, a healthcare provider, somebody who's,
a functional practitioner.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because
absolutely.
there's Anne, she still lasts to this. No, not Michelle.
Oh, the different
another
one.
Anne,
Gotcha.
not Michelle.
Last time you got in trouble for saying that.
I know, Anne got me in trouble. Anyways, no, so Anne had been on medication and she was on a pretty high dose. And so she came in, she just wanted to kind of just work on her health and to feel better. So we got her on a fast specific for her. For her, we recommended bone broth 3 days in. And turns out she had, so a lot of thyroid, people that suffer with thyroid don't know about the test reverse T3. Reverse T3 is really, really important because if your body is in a survival mode and it's not healing the right way, you're going to store all this extra thyroid hormone in a very inactive form. So on the third day for Anne, everything just came flushing out. I mean, she was like, my heart's racing, I'm anxious, all of this was going on. And so we pulled labs on her right away. And I got the labs and I said, Anne, go to your practitioner that prescribed this, show her these labs. And she said, I remember when we sat down again after this happened, she looked at me and she was like, all you did was bone broth? She was like, I bet she doesn't even know what bone broth is. I'm like, she might, it's not that hard. So what ended up happening is that when she went from survival mode, which your body, when it's in survival mode and there's a lot of inflammation and you have symptoms, you're going to store hormones. Your digestive system's not going to be functioning right. You're not going to be functioning optimally. So anyways, poured all this out and she was able to successfully be cut back on her medication.
And we saw in her last blood work too, her antibodies had dropped drastically, which most medical practitioners in their whole time taking care of a thyroid patient don't ever see that. They only see the antibodies get worse, and you saw it almost immediately get better, which is huge.
Which is so great.
Yeah, and so again, guys, when we're talking right now, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking about fasting. Specifically, we're talking about water fasting. Our favorite thing about fasting is the process of autophagy, which means the intelligence of your body will not break down good tissue. All right, so one of the biggest things that we get asked all the time, well, Dr. Nathan, isn't this going to break down my muscle? Isn't this going to break down my good tissue? Guys, it's going to break down all the debris and the bad stuff that are so the cells that are sick, right? The old immune cells that are literally causing autoimmune reaction. It is going to be intelligent about breaking those things down. And I'll give you one thing that I think is absolutely unbelievable. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Walter Longo, one of the top experts on fasting, just absolutely amazing. He actually was a part of a study that they actually looked at cancer patients, right? Patients under the care or actually going through chemotherapy. And what they did is they would actually fast the patients, water fast the patients before they received their chemotherapy. And it was outstanding what they found out in this research. What they found out is that the body was so intelligent that it would actually encapsulate and put basically trigger a gene that would protect your good and healthy cells. And then it would actually trigger a gene that would make your bad cells, your cancer cells, more susceptible, right, to things like more susceptible for the immune system to actually attack it. So therefore, when they water fasted, what they found out is that the chemotherapy would specifically target the cancer cells. It would not harm the good cells. this was absolutely huge because what they saw is the patients going through chemotherapy had little to no symptoms at all, right? Little to no symptoms like reaction from the chemotherapy drugs themselves. So absolutely phenomenal research on the intelligence of the body.
I remember when you told me about that. You were like geeking out. You were like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, cool.
Because it just shows you how intelligent the body is.
So Ruth, we have quite a few questions. You guys give us some grace here because it's not showing up the way it should. Ruth was asking about, in addition to the last question, would that mean the same for vitamin deficiency? It was a little... the last question was a while ago. So what I want to say in regards to vitamin deficiency, the big part about fasting is you're repairing your body, you're repairing your gut, you're repairing everything to respond better when you start eating again. So, I mean, the worst thing you can do is do a fast and not eat right the first week, second week, the first 4 weeks, 6 weeks afterwards. So fasting will help with vitamin deficiencies in the sense of you're going to have a lot of vitamin deficiencies. And what I see with clients that come in is that they don't even have to tell me. It's because of gut issue, gut permeability, like leaky gut. You're not able to break down and properly absorb nutrients. So fasting not only does all these amazing things within your body, but it's resting your gut so that your gut can heal. So that now when you're eating foods, you're able to get the right nutrients. When you're taking vitamins, you're not just peeing and pooping it out, you're absorbing it and utilizing it.
And you know who's utilized that too is bodybuilders, right? Like, so bodybuilders have been doing it for years. They'll literally fast, right? And then once they get off of the fast, what they'll find out is that they will build muscle, and they'll actually rebuild the tissue and everything like that. So
can you scroll that up?
I
can't reach it. All right, so I know there was another question here. Actually, I saw one question, and it was about, is it good for someone who has kidney disease?
I would say you're probably gonna have to consult a physician on that one. Like, I don't want to give like medical advice from not knowing the actual.
It depends on what it is, how long it's been there for.
Like how advanced the kidney disease is, because there's a big difference between somebody, suffering with like maybe like minor kidney infection as opposed to somebody on like dialysis or something like that. So I would say that would kind of depend on the individual. Consult a healthcare professional about that.
So how long should a person do a water fast? So, we just got off on a side note. So what I was saying was, I recommend if you want some really good health goals to do it past 3 days. I would say 5 to 7 days. I know people that have done it for 14 days.
Well, what's amazing about what you just said? When you hit the 5-day mark, right? So here's the second thing. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The second amazing thing about when you do a water fast is you get a massive production of stem cells, right? Mm-hmm. But what research shows is you're going to get the most at the 5-day mark, right? So that being said, if you can hit the 5-day mark, that is when you're going to get the biggest surge of stem cells, right? So that's a huge deal, guys. Stem cells can literally turn into anything in the body, right? So these are what people are paying thousands of dollars for, which I think is fantastic as well too. I think there's some really good research on stem cell therapy out there. But guess what? You can produce it on your own, right? Your body's own intelligence will do that. And so that being said, I think if you can hit that 5-day mark or past it, I think that's optimal.
I'm going to say this too because I thought about it. So I want to say two things about that. So if you have long-term goals, you want to lose weight, you want to balance hormones, you want to see your symptoms change. It's not only how long you're fasting, but what you're doing after the fast and how often you're fasting.
Yeah.
So you know what? Just doing that, I would say do a 7-day water fast. And then make sure you jump into something like a modified keto, a high fat, a really good organic paleo diet. Give yourself, I would do, a fast every quarter where you're taking 5 to 7 days and then in between there doing intermittent fasting. Now you're setting your body up to be in a healing state. You got to make sure you're setting your body up to rebuild itself.
Yeah. Well, and Thomas Seyfried, he wrote Cancer as a Metabolic Disease, right? One of the most brilliant minds on the planet right now in health. He even said if you would fast, if somebody would water fast for 5 days a year, just one water fast for 5 days a year, it would cut your overall risk of cancer by 95%. Like, let that
It's not
sink
even
in
a
for
drug.
second.
It's like your body will do it. Yeah.
95%, right? Reduction of cancer if you took 5 days a year and you water fasted through that 5 days. And I do want to point this out too. I think, it's even more, at least in my book, if you're going to water fast, I think you should pick out a purpose for why you're water fasting. So I'm a big believer in things like, prayer, why water fasting. I'm a big believer in saying, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm going to pray for somebody specifically, or maybe I'm going to pray for something specifically in my life. I think, man, when you water fast, I think you can move mountains, right? So I think that's something as well too. And mentally, right, emotionally and spiritually, I think you can really see some great benefit from that. So, I hope that answers your question about how long should you do it for. Man, if you can shoot for 5 days, you're going to get the most stem cell production.
Do it 7.
Oh, 7. There you go. And again, I think one of the questions we commonly get too is, how do I know when to end it, right? How do I know when to stop it? What we find is usually the body kind of lets us know, So like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing I'd say, like what I coach my clients through is that listen to your body. Like Anne, thank God she didn't just push through. She knew something was wrong. Her medication was changing. And that's the second person I've had that happen to, like in the last month. So listen to your body. This is a time too that you're not going to push yourself to, So this is a time where you're resting when you need to rest. Mm-hmm. This is a time where you're going to bed at 9:30 at night. You're waking up with gratitude. You're really calming your body and being thankful for this body that is really, really fighting disease during these 5 to 7 days. You need water.
Yeah,
I need water.
Do I need thirsty? I need water too.
Do I look thirsty? I did work out before this. No, yes, you do need
So
water.
we had a question. So if you water fast for 5 days, so you not take your vitamins and thyroid medication. So with the vitamins, no, I wouldn't take any vitamins, right? Like the only thing that you may want to do is like maybe day 1, day 2, add some sea salt or some Himalayan salt to like your water, right? Just to keep up with the minerals. That will actually kind of cut down on some of like the side effects of the first part. And then as far as what you can do afterwards, I just say nothing, right? Just water. Now, as far as the medication goes, again, if you have a medical doctor that is open to you doing things like this, I think it's worth it to have the discussion with them that, hey, I'm going to do this fast. Are you willing to work with me on this, to monitor me on this? Because there are a lot of physicians who will say, absolutely, and let's monitor you while you're doing this.
But there's some medications too that because you've been taking it, you become dependent on it. Yeah. So that's why it's kind of like you've got to make sure you know what medication you're taking and talking with a practitioner that puts you on that medication. Because, like I said, I mean, if you're on, like antidepressants or something, you can't just give that up. Like that's, you got to do it safely. You can have someone monitor you. Yeah. So vitamins, all of that extra stuff. I know my clients are like, give all this stuff up. Yeah, all the supplements and all of that and the medication, just check with the person, the practitioner that prescribed it for you. Okay, so Julie, what you're saying, you can't give up drinking water. How actually,
so I'll kind of get into that for just a second. Yeah, I mean,
we have another question.
Oh, okay, good. So there is something called dry fasting as well too, right? Now this is definitely more advanced, but there are religious sects of people out there that do and have practiced what's called dry fasting, and that's literally, this is going to be a short-term one, obviously, like 24 hours, where you're literally not putting anything into the body, and people are like, oh my gosh, like that's going to kill somebody. Actually, no, it won't, because your body will actually pull things like water from certain areas of the body, and actually you'll get an autophagy very, very quickly. You'll get into that autophagy state very, very quick. Like I think is it the Mormons? I think maybe the group that actually practices something like a dry fast, and actually research shows you get some really, really great benefits from doing that for 24 hours. But that being said, I wouldn't just jump into that.
Yeah,
that's more of
don't
an
start
advance.
there, yeah.
So I think for the sake of this video, I think water fasting is about, where you need to push it.
Yeah. Those are like more
that's
far along
definitely
that
a more
you can try.
advanced form.
And then Nicole, the question was exercising during fasting. You're doing intermittent fasting. That's really awesome. If you've been doing intermittent fasting, get ready, plan that week fast. No, I would not recommend exercising because what is your body doing during that time? Where do you want all of your energy focused? It's not focused on digesting food and dealing with disease. All it's focused on, especially like you said, after that, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th day of the fast, it's focused on healing, on killing, on breaking down. Like that's all it's focused on. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to bombard the body with stressors. What makes exercising so great is you're breaking down things, you're releasing cortisol so that you can rebuild after the exercise. You don't want to add that to your fast.
Well, and actually too, like when you do high intensity, like interval training, guys, that will help produce autophagy too, right? It will help with autophagy in the body as well. That's one way to do it. So again, there is an extent, we don't want to go overboard with that. So I would say the extent of your exercise during a fast should be maybe a nice like walk outside, and just
calm,
relaxing, de-stressing type of walk. There's a lot to be said for that. Just use it as a time to rest and heal. Yeah.
And I bet when you go and you rebuild and you start eating well again, you're gonna see gonna see kind of like what I see is like people will kind of be here, they'll fast and it just jump starts things. And so is there a minimum or maximum of water or simply drink as much as possible? That's a really good question because when I put people I work with on a fast, I give them a schedule. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the schedule is way too much liquid. But what I want them to be, I do it for a reason. There are two reasons. Number one, I want you to be aware that we are, even the people that say, I drink a lot of water, we are just really dehydrated. We're just severely dehydrated. There's doctors and studies that they're talking about how we're just not getting enough, even when we're trying to, we just get caught up with stress and things that happen in our body. So what you want to do is you want to drink more. I would have them be drinking, I think I have them 16 ounces every hour, every other hour. They're doing something every hour. They're doing something liquid-wise every hour. So I would want you to start just every hour being aware of how much water you're drinking. You're going to get to a point where you're going to get tired of it.
Yeah.
And so it's all about listening to your body. Especially, again, what I love about fasting is this is the time to be in tune with what your body is telling you. You're going to see changes. Yeah. You're going to see things happen. Mentally, you're going to see things. Like I said, we had, Ed, was it from our last blood sugar summit, and 1 week, y'all, 1 week, and he didn't even do the full 7-day fast. He fasted and then he did an intermittent fast. 1 week between the talk that we did and him coming into the office, his type 2 diabetes, his A1C levels were down to a 4. They were always a 7 or an 8. His blood sugar was down to 70. He had never seen numbers like this. And in 1 week, his numbers were changing and he lost 7 pounds. Is it because it's something magical? Is it because of a pill? No, it's because of the body.
And then what did he do? So then he gained back a pound or two, right? Because again, he started eating, and then you know what was amazing? Over the next 4 weeks, he lost 17 pounds. And and that is eating, right? Not starving himself. And because again, that is hormone optimization. That is exactly why he saw such a huge difference in that. So I would say too, like you said, that first day or two, really focus on, a lot because you're not aware. After a couple days, you become aware. And so then I say, drink when you're thirsty, right? Listen to your body, it'll tell you.
And sleep when you're tired.
Yeah. And I would
slow down when you're feeling
right.
overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I'd probably stop around 7 or 8 so that you can pee it all out too.
Yeah,
so
before you go to bed.
Yeah, so you're not up all
Lexi
night,
said you were right. It was Mormons that will do dry fasting.
That's so cool.
So this is, guys, this is ancient healing. This is not a fad. This isn't something that just people have been doing it without the science for, hundreds of years. So it's just getting back to allowing the body to heal and function the way it's supposed to. So this is a great question. So Jasmine said, how often should you fast? So let's get into some practical information. This is the time for you guys to share the video, tell your friends and family to tune in, because let's talk about some practical information. So we talked about how long to fast. So how often should you fast? And let's talk about the different types of fasting. So I'll let you talk about the different types of fasting, the bone broth intermittent fasting. I'll touch on how often should you fast. I like to have a full fast, like a 5 to 7 day fast every quarter. Just restarting every 6 months to a year. I would say every quarter, every 3 months, or every 6 months. So twice a year or 4 times a year. Restart your system. And the reason why is this. Health is a journey. You're going to have seasons where you're doing a whole lot better than others. And you're going to have seasons where you're doing a whole lot worse than others. And that's okay. Just thank God for your amazing, powerful body that has kept you alive during difficult seasons, and then get back in by doing a 5 to 7 day fast. So I would say every 3 months or twice a year, you want to do a longer fast to restart your body. Now, I do have people in between that will do intermittent fasting, which you'll touch on, that they'll do intermittent fasting, or I have people doing a fast, one full 24-hour fast a week. Depends on what your goals are. If you really want to jumpstart your system and you really just want to heal, I would do keto. I would do intermittent fasting, do a full 5 to 7 day fast, get back into intermittent fasting, and then once a week just do a 24-hour fast. Someone asked
we had a question about
can you fast while pregnant? No, definitely
don't. Like, if the only type of fasting that you could possibly do would be intermittent fasting, which I'll touch on in just a second.
I will say
even that, I don't even know if I wouldn't even do that every single day.
Yeah, and I've been nursing for how many years now? He's 2.5.
A whole life.
Nursing forever. So I want to fast. I want to do a 7 day fast. I want to do a detox. I can't. You just cannot. And that's okay, because women, our body is amazing, and let us do what we were created to do.
And there's different
serve our children,
forms, which I'll go over in just a second. So if you're pregnant, definitely no water fast. I wouldn't fast.
Detox.
Again, intermittent fast you could possibly do every now and then, maybe an every other day type thing. And by that I would probably not even push it past maybe 14 hours, 15 hours. And just stick to this, right? Especially during pregnancy, man. Really focus on your good, healthy fats that you're eating, because that's going to build the brain and the nervous system of your baby. I'm a huge fan of getting things even things like pasture-raised eggs into the diet because of the choline that's in it.
I hated eggs during
when
pregnancy.
She was pregnant with Elijah. I'm not kidding you. This is hilarious. But I would take pasture-raised eggs, and I would literally put them raw pasture-raised eggs because they were good quality. I would never put raw conventional eggs in my smoothies, but pasture-raised eggs in her smoothies. She had no idea, man. She probably consumed 200 of them. That's why Elijah's.
If I would have known, I would have thrown it up.
Yeah,
but,
right.
All right, some other questions here.
Don't fast while you're pregnant.
So no, and then what about people that are super skinny like me? And then I'm gonna add on this other thing, because I think this will be a good point. Julie said that cavemen hunted and gathered, not always had food on tap. That's really true, and that's going to work into this whole skinny thing, because you can still be skinny and be developing cancer. And dementia and Alzheimer's and diabetes.
Issues,
So skinny's not going to have a lot to do with it. I know you want to touch on that.
Because even patients, so you guys may have heard the word cachexia, right? Where it's literally the body is wasting down. Like somebody that, let's say maybe they have severe autoimmune and they can't gain weight. You guys have probably seen people like that, or so toxic that they can't gain weight. And so people are like, no, if you fast them, that's the worst thing they can do. They're going to die. In the medical system, they're like, man, again, we got to load them with calories and carbohydrates and all these things. And it's like, you know what, like their body, the reason they even have cachexia right then is because it's breaking down amino acids. It's actually breaking down protein. And so that is not very good at all. And so actually, if you do a supervised fast underneath the like, again, watchful eye of a healthcare practitioner, actually what you'll see is those people will go from like literally having the gene that's turned on that is breaking down amino acids to actually like turning that gene off and breaking down fat for fuel. And then when you go into a refeeding stage, they'll actually be able to gain weight. And so, and the other thing too, because, when we've done fasts or when I've had patients that again, were very thin, do fast, they may only lose like a pound or two of water weight doing a 3 to 5 day fast. So again, your body's intelligent. It's not going to make you lose more than you need to lose. So that being said, no, I think that you can be thin and still water fast and do
the purpose
fantastic.
is different. The water fast is never about losing weight. It's about healing the body. It's about autophagy. It's about getting rid of sick cells, damaged cells, and then allowing it to heal and to rebuild afterwards.
Well, remember, sick cells reproduce sick cells, right?
Which is
so
disease.
So when somebody has a gene that's been turned on, if you have genetic SNPs and you have some really damaged cells with DNA or with damaged DNA, guess what's going to happen? It's going to continue to produce those, and you're going to stay sick. But whenever you do something like a water fast and you're fasting and you kick on that autophagy, it will get rid of those sick and dying cells, and again, you start building cells with healthy DNA and genes. So, yeah.
It's awesome. So really quick, Big Pharma won't like you guys because there's no money in healthy people. Actually, you're wrong because there's no money in dead people and there's no money in healthy people. So if you could be right in the middle where you need it enough, well, you need them enough, but you're not dead. But yeah, you're right.
Really good.
We're just waiting for someone to say something to us. So right. And then Lexi said, please explain intermittent fasting. Let's explain different types of fast.
So we talked about water fasting. That's not the only type of fast, right? So since the question's about intermittent fasting, let's jump into that. So intermittent fasting is amazing. We actually know that studies show that I think about after around 13-hour mark, you start some autophagy, right? Which is amazing. So you start like breaking down some of that cellular debris in the body. And so that being said, what intermittent fasting means is you are literally fasting from, let's say you finish dinner at 7, right, in the evening, and then you fast, all the way until your first meal of the next day. So like I like to always say, maybe shoot for at least like that 14-hour mark. I even like, some people will try to start people at 12 hours. I like to push you a little bit and say, hey, let's try to get to 14 hours.
I tell my clients 15 to 16.
So she's mean. So
I have to say this because if they're listening, they're going to come into the office and be like, Dr. Nathan said 14.
Right, but again, so she's mean. You can come see me. I'll help you out.
I'm trying to get you well, guys.
Right, but again, try to shoot for, I like to say 14 to 18 hours. Right, that's what intermittent fasting is. So that means like again, you end your last meal of the day at 7, and so what that means is you won't have your first meal of the next day until that would be like what? 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and again, remember when you're breaking the fast, break it with lots of healthy, good fat and protein. Not a lot of carbohydrate. If you're eating carbohydrate, that should come later in the day, right? Later in the day, because when you eat some of those carbohydrates later in the day, it will actually help your body produce melatonin, right? And lower your cortisol levels and help you go to sleep. So you want to really start your first day when you're breaking that fast with high fat and good quality protein. So that being said, that's what intermittent fasting is. And so if you've never done that before, let's see,
she does 16
perfect,
hours.
Man, that's awesome. Good for you.
It's doable.
That's so great.
And one thing I say too, if you're doing intermittent fasting, and you find yourself like, I'll have, my clients that'll message me and they're like, I'm so hungry. Like, what do I do? I can't eat for another couple hours. That tells me two things. Number one, you didn't eat enough calories during your food window the day before. Yeah. And number two, you didn't eat enough fat.
Because you're not starving yourself, right? At all. Actually, again, if you're eating between like a 6 to 8 hour window there, you can do 2 or 3 meals. Now, don't snack the whole time through it, right? That's important because that'll spike your blood glucose and insulin levels. So pick, 2 meals or 3 meals, and then guess what you can do? Making sure that you're eating till you're full at those meals, right? So you're still eating well. So you're not telling your body that you're starving. What you're doing is you're giving your body a chance to rest. You're triggering autophagy, right? So you're literally in that anabolic state, and then boom, you're eating again. You're back into a catabolic state. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, and it's like perfect harmony. So if you're just starting on this whole fasting journey and this is overwhelming, maybe just start with 3 days a week, right? Every other day. Practice intermittent fasting, right? And so again, try to choose between 14 to 18 hours in between your last meal and first meal of the day, right? And then eat a diet that's like lower in sugar and carbohydrates, higher in good quality fat, and like grass-fed and wild-caught proteins, right? And you're getting lots of vegetables, and you're gonna do well.
And if you've been doing intermittent fasting, well, I was gonna add, if you've been doing intermittent fasting, it's time to do a fast. Do a fast. Do a 5-7 day fast. Just jump right in, because if you've been intermittent fasting, your body's been changing and becoming fat adapted. And should you try to get off of coffee before trying to fast?
Yeah. So,
which, let me just go ahead and say, I've loved coffee. I've been a coffee person, and this guy's like hated it. And then he started reading research on coffee, and now like some mornings he'll be like, "Where's the coffee? I can't do anything without my coffee." I'm like, when did this happen?
I drink it for health purposes, right?
Okay.
But hey, just a quick tip for you. If you're trying to protect your adrenal glands and your cortisol levels with coffee, if you will do 3 weeks on of like caffeinated coffee, and then take a week and do Swiss water processed decaf coffee, you will actually, your adrenals will be protected, and you won't get like that wear out, burnout phase in your adrenals. So that's one, Daria, that you can try. I think that would be great. Now, should you? Yeah, I think if you're gonna fast, I don't think you should drink coffee.
A full fast.
Yeah, full fast. Intermittent fasting, you can drink some coffee. And if you really want to find out, right, because it's different for some people. If you really want to find out if coffee is causing you to break your fast, or if it's causing like a rise in your blood sugar or cortisol levels, you can always test your blood sugar right after you drink your coffee and see if your blood sugar goes up. And if it doesn't, then yeah, drink your coffee during that intermittent fasting stage, and you're totally fine. But for some people, it does cause the blood sugar to go up slightly, and you may want to stay away from it if you're doing some intermittent fasting.
So Jasmine, I'm vegan, so how would that work in my case?
Oh,
so
that's okay.
Being vegan, it's not going to influence the fasting part. Everyone's going to be the same in the fasting part. What's going to be, and this is, I'm working with someone right now that is almost pretty much a vegan. But she doesn't do fat, she doesn't do oils.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that you've got to be really aware of is consuming enough fat. And like even with this client, she was like, "Well, I eat lots of nuts," and I looked at her food diary, and I'm like, "You have no good building blocks right now." And especially as women, and especially with stuff like dementia, Alzheimer's, and sex hormone issues, you need a good amount of good fat to be a building block. So, I mean, at least you're consuming oils. In your case, I am going to have olive oil. You're not cooking with it, but when I'm saying olive oil, I mean like every meal. I'll go ahead and tell you, if we go out to eat, I don't care what I'm eating. We
bring our own olive oil.
I'll bring my own olive oil. I don't care what I'm eating. I'm going to pour it on top of it, okay? You are going to need a lot of coconut oil. Yes, a lot of nuts. I would make avocado like just every single day. A staple.
Yeah.
You're eating a whole avocado minimum a day. And then for you, I would really, really recommend something if you're vegan, something like a brain octane or MCT oil. That is going to be always, and that's not just for building, after a fast. I think that's just for every day for you. Cold pressed flaxseed oils, I've seen that as well.
Ooh, that's a good one. Hemp seed oil. Hemp seeds are like a superfood for you. Hemp seed oil. Another one that I think is great too for vegans as well. Check out like energy bits like spirulina and chlorella.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be with some of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet. So it'll really kind of help you. It's kind of like the world's greatest multivitamin. So it'll really help you, create a lot of health in the body by doing it that way. But you're absolutely right. Even though you're vegan, doesn't mean that you still can't consume massive amounts of good, healthy fat. They're going to actually help you rebuild your cell wall, rebuild your brain, and everything like that.
But as a vegan,
But
you're going to have, there you go, you're going to have to pay attention. You're just going to have to be extra vigilant that you are getting this fat, especially as, as a woman, making sure you're getting all this fat. But you can do this, man. The fasting and the building blocks, it's all of that. And so someone said, what's a good fat, please? But Daria, you said I intermittent fast with black coffee, and then when I come off fast, I use 1 tablespoon of grass-fed butter and 1 teaspoon of MCT oil. So you're making bulletproof coffee. But I'll go ahead and say, you were saying what's a good fat. You can do that 2 teaspoons of whipping cream in my next cup. I will say that's high fat. That's really, really good. It's like a version of the bulletproof coffee. I will say, we had all these questions. Sorry guys if we're not seeing your questions. It's not popping up on our screen, but we're trying to look on Facebook right now. But these are really good questions. We're going to touch on that. But you can do bulletproof coffee while you're intermittent fasting. So that 15 to 16 hour fast, that's a good way to get good fat in, whether you're doing a Swiss water decaf, or if you're doing, the regular coffee, organic coffee. We do 2 tablespoons of grass-fed butter, and then do we do 2 tablespoons of MCT oil?
It depends on the day.
On the day.
Sometimes it's a little much, for me, but sometimes I'll go for it.
Yeah, and then we blend it up with stevia.
Blend it.
You could blend it, don't stir it.
Well, and it's important too, because Dave Asprey, who really is the one that kind of pushed that forward, at least here in America. He even talked about like some of the reasons why you want to blend it, because it like basically breaks it down and it puts like the amazing like benefits of coffee, like the antioxidants and things like that are in it, like surrounded by fat, and it's a good delivery system. So definitely blend it.
Fasting while nursing, again, I would not recommend that, just because. I said this earlier. You can do intermittent fasting. I always do intermittent fasting, and let's be honest. We're running around all morning anyway. We're feeding them, trying to do, going to work or trying to take care of them. You probably don't even eat until later in the day. But right now, just allow this season to be about nourishing your children, and then when you're done, hit it hard, and then jump into a 7-day fast. You just don't want to impact your breast supply, your breast milk supply.
That's good. Yeah, and again, like you do intermittent fasting, but also she listens to her body too. Some days, she'll be like, man, you know what? I feel like I need more calories because I've been nursing, all day. Maybe Rosie's not feeling well. So your mom, you've got like this amazing intuition that men will never understand. So that being said, listen to yourself, and just eat plenty of good healthy calories. If you intermittent fast, you still got to get those amazing calories in, those good healthy fat, right? And help with that. What is it?
So when fasting, do you still take vitamins, minerals, probiotics, or water only?
It depends on what type of fasting you're doing. If you're doing water fast, just stick to water. I wouldn't take anything else. And again, remember that like if you want to help yourself out on the first couple days, you can do like some Celtic sea salt or Himalayan salt, like sprinkle it in your water just to help with some minerals. But besides that, I wouldn't do any vitamins or minerals. Like again, you want to let your body's own intelligence do its work inside. You don't want anything coming from the outside. Hey, and make sure you're doing quality water too, please. Reverse osmosis, is going to be good. Berkey system is great, but you really want to make sure you're doing really good quality water as well too.
So, is it okay to just eat 2 good healthy meals a day?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, as long as you're eating till you're full and you're getting lots of good healthy fat and good quality protein in there, as well as lots and lots of vegetables, and you're feeling fantastic, absolutely. It's fantastic. I think that's great.
And I think listen to your body, because I've had certain people that are just their energy is shot. And then I do a food diary on them and they are just not eating enough calories. So during this fast, in intermittent fasting, listen to your body. If you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling drained, then you're not eating enough calories. You're going to have to eat 3 meals. But if you're feeling great, you're losing weight, everything's great, then, stick with the 2 meals. So one thing I wanted to make a note here. So Daria, you said you did a 3-day water fast in March, and you had to stay in bed because you went off cold turkey. So like Dr. Nathan said before, what's going to help with that is making sure you don't become dependent on coffee. You're going to cycle through, you said 3 weeks, regular caffeinated coffee, 1 week, is it Swiss
water process? Because that means that
decaf.
they're using water to pull out a lot of the caffeine as opposed to chemicals. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say, if you are experiencing this without fail, I see it over and over again. If you are experiencing some severe symptoms while you're fasting, there is an underlying issue. A lot of times I see toxicity.
So I see too. That's like, I would definitely, that's like mercury.
I would get
right?
tested.
Yeah, that's
I would
like
get tested for heavy metals, which the right way to get tested is through urine with a binder to get it out, so that the right amount, a challenge test to get tested. If you want some more information, message us here on Facebook. But those type of symptoms are red flags that there's something else going on there, and that particular symptom, it could be heavy metal toxicity. So how about, we got 3 different questions about water. I'm going to read them all 3 to you, and then you'll answer all of them. Okay. First one is about boiling well water or drinking distilled water, and the last one is, do you add minerals to your reverse water to replace the minerals that are lost?
Yeah, so first of all, about the well water, right? Like, I even with well water, I would definitely be doing the filtering it, having some type of filter that you can run that through. And the biggest reason, the biggest reason why is because, listen, there probably was a time when well water was massively better than city water, but now the runoff of glyphosate, right, is just massive. Yeah. So, there's basically no way that well water is not going to be loaded with glyphosate. It's in 72% of our nation's soil. So,
and just a side note, I don't know if you know this is just a really side note. This is why you got to be very vigilant about what you're putting inside your body, especially this water. But right now, Monsanto, for the first time ever, someone is able to sue them. And you know who it is?
Yes.
It is but it's also sad because it's a man that does not have very much longer to live, who worked with Monsanto's weed Roundup every single day. This man has this really intense aggressive cancer, and his skin has boils all over it, and they're in court bringing this against Monsanto. So that's one of the reasons why with well water. And then do you distilled water, and do you put stuff back in?
Yeah, so distilled water, again, if you're doing a fast, you can do that. It can be great, right? It can kind of create that vacuum to pull more toxins out, but you don't want to do distilled water all the time. Because here's the bottom line. The minerals that are in water, right, actually help to really drive amazing processes across the membrane. It's called membrane potential, right? And that's absolutely huge. So that means if we want to get nutrients into the cell and toxins out, really those minerals play a major role. And what we're starting to realize is so many people will drink tons of water and still be dehydrated because there's no minerals in the water to actually get it into the cell. So again, distilled water can be great during a fast, right? It can be a good tool utilized. But again, I'm a big fan of, I like reverse osmosis. Do you add minerals into it? I think that's great. Yeah, like on a daily basis when you're drinking it, I think absolutely. I think it's great to add minerals into it, like a liquid trace minerals, or adding like Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt, just getting a form of minerals into it. If you look at the way water was in nature, right, what would it be? Number one, it would actually be structured, right, because it would be, rolling over rocks and all kinds of things. It would structure the water naturally. So even the molecular makeup is completely different. But also too, right, what you also have to realize is it would contain lots of minerals in it. So I like that to add minerals in. I think that's great.
Julie's coming from Australia.
What? Very cool. That's awesome.
And she said she boils the tank water and then filters it, which I think that's going to be your best bet. And then Lexi, I'm glad we answered your question. What's a good water? Then she said thanks. So reverse osmosis, adding minerals to it.
What do we use? A
Berkey water filter.
I love it.
But we have the extra filter for the fluoride. It's really great. You can taste the difference.
Keeps the minerals.
Maybe we'll do a video on that. Water. That'll be a good.
Keeps the mineral in it.
Thanks, guys. We're gonna do a video, just a shorter one, not like this, on water. And then there was one question here about if you're doing the water fast.
They should be gelled.
Finally, they should be gelled.
Yes, they should be gelled.
Monsanto should be gelled.
I agree. Julie, for sure.
But there's a question and it disappeared. But should you be concerned with being really exhausted past the 5-day mark? And I would say you're gonna have your hardest day the first 3 days, and you should feel energy. You should feel good. That's always what I hear. I hear, I miss food, but I feel good. Like your energy should actually, at that mark, when your body is switching to this healing mode, you should feel really good. You should feel energized. You should feel fine. But I always recommend the first, second, or third day. Try to do it over the weekend. So like maybe the first day on a Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. Give yourself like the weekend, and then make your 4th day on a Monday, and throughout the week, so it's easier rather than throwing it in the week like that.
Well, I think that was a really good point. Like if you hit a point where you get energy and then you lose it like in the next couple days, I think that's a sign that you should probably stop the fast, right? Like don't you agree? Like if you,
I would say it's a toxin problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But again, I think that's your body kind of saying, well, I gained energy, right? Like I had that moment, and then now I'm getting exhausted. Usually I'd say, that's a good time to probably break the fast after
so
that.
Kimberly said New Orleans, my team too. Y'all,
who dat? Absolutely.
We're actually, this is our date night. So we worked out at Orange Theory Fitness for an hour.
We're not always that lame, though.
No, we're not.
We
usually just go get food.
Yeah.
But we worked out, and then we rushed back home, set this all up, so we didn't even have a chance to change from our workout. But we love being able to do this for you guys and give you some information. So
what about checking the TDS meters? Not 100% sure
but checking
what that
the
is.
pH balance
but checking
in
the
water.
pH balance. I again, like, a lot of people you'll see do like high alkaline water. I think that there can be a time and a place for that. I'm not a big fan of doing that all the time. Again, I like to find it, how it would be in nature, and yes, there would be times where it would be higher alkalinity, so consume it some. But I think if you're consuming that all the time, I don't know how. I'm not going to say it's going to hurt you, but I don't know if it's necessary to do that. I would say
this is the thing. I've actually read a lot more about water alkalinity and like getting water filters that will try to make the pH differently. And so what I've read is actually you want your body to naturally, in its own way, become more alkaline. Unnaturally, dousing your body with alkaline water isn't going to do the same thing as your own body becoming more alkaline, because you're eating a lot of green leafy vegetables, or because you might have some toxicity issues, you might have some nerve dysregulation. There's something, if your body's not becoming more alkaline by changing how you're eating and increasing your antioxidant, drinking the water isn't going to change it, and it's just going to give you kind of an unnatural pH balance inside of your body.
There you go.
So I read it because for a period of time, there's a lot of people that were just selling those waters filters that would do it. And we the office used to work at, they had it there, and we would drink it. But then I read more into it, and I was like, okay, that would make sense. It's the same thing with everything. Your supplements, if you're on supplements to keep yourself alive, you're just as bad as being on a medication, because your body's never healing and it's going to continue to get sick. So again, the reason why we love fasting, intermittent fasting, fasting with water, fasting with bone broth, is because it does something, and it allows you to see the amazing healing power that your body has. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
With nothing there, Nothing in the way, no supplements, nothing at all is going to do what your body can do.
Well, I don't think we touched on the bone broth fasting, so let me touch on that one and kind of dive into that for just a second. Bone broth fasting, I think, could be an amazing tool as well too, and especially like if you've never fasted before, you're a little nervous about fasting, or maybe you have like a digestive disorder, right? Something, some serious issues going on with your digestive system. Bone broth fasting may be what's right for you. And again, what's amazing about bone broth fasting is you're going to get all the essential, good healthy fats. You're going to get amino acids in it. Some of those amino acids are actually going to help to heal the lining of the gut. So absolutely phenomenal. And you're going to get vitamins and minerals in it as well too. But you're still fasting from food. So you're still giving the gut a chance to rest, right? You're still allowing the gut to rest, and you're actually healing the lining of the gut as you go through it. Now, I'm a big fan, and I think you are too, because you do this a lot with your patients. If you're going to do a bone broth fast, I think you should really go, for quite a bit, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think you should like try to hit like a 7-day, bone broth fast. And you know what we find, interesting with most of the patients that we work with or clients that we work with that are fasting with bone broth is they usually get tired of like the bone broth taste after
and
a
then
few
they
days.
do water.
And then they just do water.
And it's usually people that I'm like, there's no way they're going to do a water fast.
Yeah.
They tell me there's no way they're going to do a water fast. So I'm just like, fine, we're going to do 7 days of bone broth. And then day 4, they're like, I'm not doing any more bone broth. And then they do water for the rest. So that's a good way to start. And one thing I want to, we're going to be wrapping it up here. One thing I do want to address, though, because I had a consult today, and he told me about how, a few years ago, he did a juice fast. He did a 21-day juice fast and lost all this weight. And then over the years, put it back on. And then he said this past couple of months, this past year, he did a juice fast for like 10 days, and he said like nothing budged, nothing at all. And this is, I used to do a lot of juice fasts. I just did it for health reasons, and there was all these documentaries on it. And the same thing that I told him I'm going to say on here is that juice fasts were amazing because what you're doing is you're healing the gut and you're pulling all these nutrients in. But the issue that we're finding right now, and this is the same with him, is that we are just glucose dependent. We are sugar dependent. We are fructose dependent. We are dependent on these sugars for energy. And so when you are having an insulin and sugar issue, and the reason why I know we have an insulin issue is because, overweight people are going to have sugar issues. Skinny people are going to have sugar issues. There's type 1 diabetes later in life. There's type 2 diabetes as children. There's type 1.5. There's type 3, which is Alzheimer's dementia. All that is saying is that we're just becoming dependent on glucose. We're overworking our insulin, and it causes severe hormone imbalance coupled with nerve damage and gut issues. It's just a mess. And so that's why we are moving away from that, and going to just water or bone broth because we're not putting sugar in our body. And it's not like white sugar, but it's still like liquid fruit without the fiber, or fruit and vegetables without the fiber. So I just wanted to, because he had asked me about that today, about the juice fast.
Like I think like you said, like even when you dive into like some of those powerful, like, was it Gerson therapy and things like that?
Yeah.
Like, I think that, there are times and places for that stuff.
Certain
no
cancers
doubt.
respond very well to it, Gerson therapy.
But, like, even in that, like, they really promote not juicing a lot of things with sugar. I think, they obviously say carrots because of the amazing, beta carotene that's in it, and it's, anti-cancer properties. But, they even utilize a lot more things than what most people think. Like, they do, like, was it like beef liver and things like that in the Gerson therapy, so things that most people don't realize. So I agree with you. I think if you juice fast, you're not going to get the hormone optimization that you get from water fasting.
So never see many fat people in the 50s and 60s, then they introduce fast food.
There you go. It's so
food,
true. Yeah.
Sugar, all of that, and it's all like pleasure centers in the brain. It's an addiction, guys.
Yep.
And then we have what about ACV shots?
I like it.
I like it, but
I
during
don't
fasting.
like the taste, but I like it. I like it. I like what it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, during fasting, if again, just no water fasting. And remember too, like, a lot of people will say, oh, I do, ACV and like, mix it with some things and like I'm detoxing. That's not detoxing, that's cleansing, right? There's two different types of, you got to always remember, like, cleansing and detoxing are two completely different things. And a lot of times, people get those confused. Detoxing is literally coming at a cellular level, right? Pulling, things like organic and inorganic toxins out of the cells and binding it in the gut to get rid of it, as opposed to cleansing. And they both have amazing, times and places. So ACV, man, do it on a daily basis. I think that's fantastic. But during the fast, I would probably stay away from it.
So this is a good time to wrap it up because we've been here for over an hour, but we just got a question. I just came in, and can you guys sum up everything?
Are you just telling us to shut up? Like, is that a nice way to tell? I'm just kidding.
Oh, I know. What he's trying to say is give me the spark notes
There
for
you
the
go.
last hour.
I like
Okay. Spark notes. Fasting, a full 5, thanks for tuning in, Julie.
Yes,
fasting,
thanks, Julie.
A full fast, like a 5 to 7 day fast, either every quarter to start off the quarter or every 6 months. Okay? Full fast. What you're doing is just water fasting, or if you want to heal the gut, you're doing bone broth fasting. When you're fasting, it's going to trigger autophagy, which means your body goes into a healing state. You're creating stem cells, you're getting rid of cancer cells, you're balancing your hormones, and you're doing it all without the help of anything external. It's all internal healing. Then when you come off of that fast, you want to make sure you're eating right. A really good keto, paleo, organic food, because what's just as important as making it past 5 to 7 days fasting is the food that you put into your body, what you're building up, the mTOR process. So you're breaking everything down naturally. You're going to see some amazing results. And then what's really important is putting the right foods back into your body so you can rebuild what you broke down. So that's fasting, and then just a quick summary of intermittent fasting.
And intermittent fasting is something you can do on a daily basis, or you can do it, 5 days a week, 3 days a week, however you want to do it. But you're literally going 14, to 18 hours between your last meal and your first meal of the next day, right? And so you're literally just fasting during that time. You can have a little bit of coffee, some organic, good quality coffee.
How about coffee enemas
tea
during intermittent fasting or fasting?
Oh yeah, I think that's amazing. Yes. Coffee enemas, yes. Hey, what I would do, 30 minutes, actually one of our mentors taught us this, which I think is amazing. 30 minutes before you do the coffee enema, take a binder, right? So like something like Bind from Systemic Formulas, or something like the activated coconut charcoal from Bulletproof, something like that. Take a binder 30 minutes before you do it, so that way you don't get a redistribution of toxins from your bile. But that's awesome.
If
yes,
you have
coffee
any
enema is
questions
great.
about that, message us, guys. Anything with that. But, save it, share it. Someone said you can share it on your page so you can go back to it, so you can watch it if you're tuning in right now. We shared a lot of really great information. Guys, like our page, follow us. We love to share a lot of this information. If
Whatever
you want
we learn,
any help,
we share it.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what we do, yeah. And so we didn't say this at all in the last hour and a half, but we do help. We do have health coaching that we do for people all over the United States. And we do help people here locally in Chattanooga. And if you're local here in Chattanooga, we are doing a summit coming up very soon. And maybe we'll Facebook Live it.
Yeah,
we'll
we
see.
could probably do that too.
We have a lot of people that turn out to it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please share our page, like our page.
Any questions you have, shoot us a private message. We'd love to be able to help you out for sure.
Oh, I just remembered something.
Go ahead.
This Saturday, we have a radio show from Canada.
Hi. Awesome.
Hello, Canada. We have Australia, Canada, and then someone said New Orleans.
Hey, I like it, man. That's good. That's a great mix, right? Those are really, really great.
This Saturday, we'll have a radio show it's 2 hours from 10
To 12.
To 12. I always have a hard... Reno,
Reno,
Nevada.
look at that,
That's
man.
so awesome.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Do you do virtual consulting?
We do
Yes,
virtual
we do. You got a
consulting,
new
yep.
follower. Yes, thank you, Kim. Thanks.
Thanks,
I
Kimberly.
appreciate
Awesome.
that. And we do. Someone asked if we do virtual consulting, and we do. We are actually working on our website right now. It should be live by the
soon.
first week of August. So we had to revamp everything. But until then, just shoot us a Facebook message and we'll get our team to reach out to you. But this Saturday from 10 to 12, we will go live from our radio station. And the first hour, we're going to be answering some health questions. But the second hour from 11 to 12, we will be talking about this groundbreaking Monsanto case. We're going to talk about herbicides, genetically modified food, and the serious implications this has for your health, and how to fight people that say that nothing is wrong with eating GMO foods and that it's saving everyone in the world. Yeah. We're going to talk about all that, guys.
You're from Reno too. Look at that, man. Reno's a popular place.
That's so awesome. So
cool.
Stay tuned, guys. Thank you, and have a wonderful night.
We'll see you guys.